The December 2024 Oregon State Lottery Commission meeting is now in session. It's noted for the record that commissioners are attending the meeting via the web, and a quorum of commissioners is present for today's meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Ramirez,
Here.
Commissioner Weller,
Here.
Commissioner Wilcox,
Here.
Chair Sathok.
Here. Will the clerk also inform the commission of who else is in the meeting?
Yes, joining us today is Nate Carter from the Department of Justice.
Welcome. Members of the public have the opportunity to provide public comments to the commission for this meeting. A full copy of the written comments that were received were provided to the commissioners in advance of the meeting and will be posted on the commission meeting website. Will the clerk please share the public comments that were received for the record?
Yes, the following public comment was received from Jesse Murray and will be read verbatim. Hello, Lottery Commission and directors. I'm informing you of the lack of respect, customer service, timely responses, and generally disgust from several Oregon residents who pay taxes and are customers of DraftKings Sportsbook, Oregon Lottery official vendor. The lack of respect and customer support that includes no communication directly with the vendor is unacceptable. The return times on email communication is the worst in the industry. Along with that, any kind of account update is usually handled over wells of back and forth, repetitive and difficult questions and answers that are the same over and over again, with no update or access provided. If I change their email or phone number, the likelihood that update can be forwarded to DraftKings will take weeks instead of minutes, which is the industry standards. Their total disregard for customer is obvious and evident in the lack of available direct communication availability. They claim open 24/7. Well, that is completely false, misrepresenting the claim with chat response that takes days, not 24/7. They have a shady, inconsistent login protocol that is not user-friendly. Why do they get to be the vendor for Sports Action Sportsbook in the state of Oregon? What are their customer support responsibilities and vendor standards for the state of Oregon? Are you holding them accountable? What is the oversight? I expect a timely response with details because this farce has gone too far. Also, you have no formal complaint email, account, or phone number. Why? What is the actual contract timeline with DraftKings? Name Jesse Murray, Oregon resident and upset taxpayer who has the ability to take this matter first if there is an unsatisfactory response. DraftKings is aloof and does not respect Oregon citizens and customers. Best, Jesse Murray. And following this correspondence, Lottery Sports Product Team has interacted with Mr. Murray to help resolve his issue, and he expressed gratitude for the assistance of Lottery staff.
Great.
Our next public comment was received from Hugh Coonfield. Dear Commissioners and Director, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to address you and wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving. My name is Hugh Coonfield. I was the 13th or 14th employee hired to start the lottery in 1985. I was the market research and game development manager for 17 years. As such, I developed games, calculated odds, and developed price structures for all scratch-off and online games, including Megabucks, Sports Action, Quest, Keno, Lotto America, and Powerball, plus all yearly marketing research, sale forecasting, and game testing via phone and focus group. As you are aware, Powerball is the most highly played game in the most jurisdictions, with 6 or 7 of the highest lottery jackpots in the history of U.S. lotteries. What you may not know is that Powerball was developed, tested nationwide in 5 different states, and named by the Oregon Lottery. I know because I did it. On searching online, the Oregon Lottery has never been given the recognition it rightly deserves. Enclosed in your packet is the complete history of how Powerball was developed and Oregon's involvement in how it was implemented. I would humbly request the information be posted to Oregon Lottery website and also posted on Wikipedia, so that the Oregon Lottery can be duly recognized for the outstanding work we accomplished in the industry. I appreciate your time and consideration on the above and would welcome any questions you might have, either in person, phone, or email at above. Hugh Coonfield. P.S. The above information can be verified by Tina Erickson. She's the only one that might remember me. And the Powerball document that was referenced in this comment was distributed to the commission and will be posted on the webpage with today's meeting materials along with both public comments.
Thank you, Lisa. And I want to just point out how important the public comments are to the lottery, and I really appreciate the actions lottery takes to follow up on all comments that we receive. So thank you. With that, let's move to Director Wells and the director's report.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Sathoff and commissioners. Earlier this month, we shared the news that for fiscal year 24, we were transferring approximately $947 million to the state. That is up approximately $48 million from the previous year. So super excited about that. While transferring that amount may not be news to you, since you guys see the financials every month, we did want to share a few interesting highlights that you may not be aware of. So our players earned payouts totaling nearly $16 billion for last year. 13 players took home prizes worth $1 million or more. Lottery retailers across Oregon collectively earned close to $310 million in commissions. And unclaimed prizes for the year totaled $8 million, which was also returned to the state. We're very pleased, obviously, with our fiscal year 24 outcomes and look forward to what the next fiscal year brings to us and the state. Moving on, every year in December, state agencies prepare a report that summarizes the agency's activities to promote positive government-to-government relations with Oregon's 9 federally recognized tribes. The lottery's 2024 report is provided to you in today's meeting materials and reflects lottery's ongoing commitment to positive tribal relations. As you know, in our fiscal year 25 budget, we set aside a travel allowance to allow us to travel to tribal communities at their invitation and continue to foster open dialogue. We have received one invitation and are looking forward to that travel coming up in 2025. Moving on, well, they've done it again. Last month, I told you about a record number of prize claims our player services team handled in our payment centers following Veterans Day holiday. Well, in November, following the 4-day Thanksgiving weekend, they beat their previous record, handling more than 800 winner claim prizes between Wilsonville and Salem in one day. So I would again say thank you to player services staff, our security team, and the volunteers who all stepped up and helped handle the prizes, rise to the challenge, and continue to provide a positive customer experience for all of those people who showed up and wanted to get paid after a long holiday weekend. So thank you to our team. This is super exciting for us just to see this type of positivity and these type of wins for our players. So I'm excited for that and where this is going to take us with some of the changes we've made. Moving on to finances, the monthly finance report is in your meeting packet, and there are really no noteworthy items to speak of. The financial statement will be presented for approval at the January meeting. But on the sales front, closing out the calendar year, overall sales are down slightly by 3.7%. Our jackpot games such as Mega Millions and Powerball don't have billion-dollar jackpots in comparison to the same time frame. So sales for those games are also down a bit. We're seeing sales for Win for Life down about 14.9%, Pick 4 down 2.9%, and Lucky Lions down 11.9% from last year. However, year to date, so business year 25 is actually ahead of the best year we've had for scratch at sales, business year 21, by 2.4%. The $30 holiday ticket has really helped push the holiday sales to 24% ahead of last year. The $30 ticket accounts for 1/3 of holiday sales and nearly 1/5 of our transfers. So overall, Scratch It sales are actually up 9.3%. We've seen over the past several months, sports betting turnover continuing to be positive with a 22.3% increase over last year. So with that, I'll move on to a few winner stories. Jamie C. of Almsville loves trying her luck on the Big City Fives video lottery. Earlier this month, she won $18,684.95 while playing at Tommy's Welcome Inn in Jefferson. Jamie says it's going to be a great Christmas. Dylan H. of Roseburg bought two $10.777 Scratch-Its at his local Schmartz Garden Valley Mini Mart. He's a right now kind of guy, so he scratched them right at the counter. The second ticket was the lucky one, showing all sevens to win $7,000. Dylan plans to use the win to pay off some bills. Taking advantage of a $20 free bet, a sports betting customer from Newburgh placed a $10 leg parlay in the NHL. After successfully choosing the total points under in multiple games, the player collected $45,322.79 on his $20 free bet. And finally, I want to end with saying, this is our last commission meeting for 2024. And I want to end with just a huge thank you, not only to staff, but to you, our commission. It's hard to believe it's actually end of 2024. It's gone fast. We've accomplished a lot in this year. There's been a lot of change throughout the organization, and we've done a lot of new things. And it's been an amazing year, not only for us and our accomplishments, but I think also for our beneficiaries and what we've been able to transfer back. It takes everyone working together to get us where we are today. So again, I just want to say thank you to our staff, to you commissioners for your dedication to helping us meet our mission. And I am very excited about 2025 and the accomplishments that we're going to find next year and to continue to deliver on our mission for this organization. So thank you for your time and dedication to helping us. And that ends my director's report for today.
Well, thank you very much, Director Wells. And I'll just stop here and see if there are any comments or questions from the commission about your report.
I have a quick one. Director Wells, you mentioned that there are volunteers helping out in the centers. And I was just kind of curious. I guess this is the first that I've heard of volunteers in the lottery. And I was just a little curious about what they might be doing and how these people came to be volunteers.
Yeah, so the volunteers are other staff members who have other duties, but we anticipated large volumes of players showing up in those mornings. So we have staff that have come in and have helped direct people, helped issue checks, et cetera, just to help enhance the staffing for those days. So, this is not the first time we've done this, post-COVID when we had lines out the door of people. We call on staff across the organization, and we always get probably more volunteers than we need. And so that's just one of the beauties of this organization is everybody's willing to chip in and help when needed. So it's been an amazing accomplishment for us and for player services. And it's just amazing that staff are willing to help each other out. So.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thanks for all those folks for stepping up, especially with 800 folks coming in to claim prizes. So sounds like a great day, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Director Wells, I do have a couple of questions, both about the tribal partnership report and then just one on the financials. But that question will probably be could you maybe come back in January when we're looking at the financials? But on the tribal report, by the way, I thought it was a great report, and it serves to remind us, one, how important this relationship is, but all of the resources really that you're putting towards this. One of the things that you identified is that, you do at least an annual, like the report we got, but that you do regular updates. And I was just wondering, are those just because, say, you set up a meeting and so you'll do a report then? Or do we have like a periodic report that goes out in addition to the annual report? And just wondered a little bit about that. And I have a couple other questions on the report.
So for updates, it's not regular, we'll say that, but it's when we have, I would say, major changes or things
Yeah.
that are occurring within the organization. We share our strategic plan with them. So we'll share it with you commissioners, and then we share it with them before it's voted in. If we have big changes in games or announcements within the organization, we try to include them on communications as well, so that they remain apprised of what's going on within this office. Obviously, the governor's office has, we have good communications with the governor's office. They also have communications with the tribes. So we just try to keep everybody informed equally so that nobody is surprised by anything. So not a regular cadence other than this report, but just trying to keep that open dialogue.
Yeah, I assumed it was because there's a lot of touch points it's clear to me you have a lot of touch points with them, and I assume that the updates happen in a more pragmatic sense.
Correct.
Anyway,
Yeah.
the other thing in your report that you mentioned that I just wanted to reiterate are partnerships, that we consider opportunities for ways we can work with the tribes, and I hope that going forward that there may be some actual gaming opportunities to work with them. We've talked about that in the past, and I hope that will work out. And then finally, and I should know this, and this is my, I know that we designate a manager to serve as our touch point. Is that Matt or is it
Yes.
someone else?
It is Matt Shelby. That is correct. Who is our liaison for tribal relations.
Okay, thanks. And my last really is on you provided the financial sort of highlights that sales were actually down 3.7%. And then I think what you said, I just want to clarify, is that adjusting for, so if you don't include Powerball and Megabucks, these are sort of our standard regular games. We're down 3.7. What I'm wondering is going forward, because we know that the multi-state games and those games really do, when they hit big and they overpower everything. I'd like to know whether or not we could get some sense going forward of, without that, when you adjust for that, how are we doing otherwise? I don't mean to imply that we're never going to do that and that those are not important, but it would be nice to know how our other revenue streams are doing. So anyway, that was my comment for a go forward, and maybe we can talk more about it in January.
No, that's great. Yeah, we will include that in January. And I think that's a great point is, we have, those are the national games. So maybe pull the national games off and just see what's our Oregon sales
How are we doing?
packages. Yep, we can do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So unless there are no other comments or questions from the commissions, I think we'll move to the minutes. Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to adopt? Sorry, got the wrong. I apparently have the wrong minutes. The minutes of the previous commission meeting have been circulated to the commission in advance of today's meeting. If there are no changes to the minutes, is there a motion to approve?
I move that the minutes of the Oregon State Lottery Commission meeting held on November 22nd, 2024 be approved as final as presented today.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Weller,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilcox,
Aye.
Chair Sathoff.
Aye. For the record, the motion is passed. Thank you. With that, let's go to the rulemaking and Ms. Scaro.
Thank you, Chair Sathoff. Commissioners, Director Wells, good morning. For the record, my name is Chris Scaro. I'm the Rules and Policy Analyst for Lottery, and I have two rulemaking items for you today that are both for your approval. So first up is game rules for the new draw game called Cash Pop. So as we've discussed, we'd like to launch this game in 2025 to replace a game that we're retiring called Lucky Lines. And so back in October, I presented some game rules to you that would authorize the game and cover all the topics we're required to cover in our game rules. And so we've completed the public rulemaking process that we're required to follow before we can adopt the rules. And that process is documented in your meeting materials, but briefly for the record, we provided several weeks for the public to comment in writing. We also held a public hearing, but we did not receive any comment for you to consider, and there are no changes from the rules that we presented to you in October. Director Wells has reviewed the rules and recommends the commission adopt them as they're presented to you today to take effect on January 13th of the new year. So happy to talk about this more, answer questions. Otherwise, you'll have a motion in your materials if you are interested in making a motion.
Any questions or comments about this rule from the commission? Hearing none, is there a motion to adopt the proposed rulemaking?
I move that OAR 177-084 be adopted and OAR 177-010-003 be amended as presented in the meeting materials today, effective January 13th, 2025.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And will the clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Weller,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilcox,
Aye.
Mayor Sappach.
Aye. For the record, the motion is passed.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, one more before I let you go. So also back in October, we presented a group of rule changes all related to the prize claim process for when someone claims their prize at the lottery. So to refresh everyone's memory, we had proposed 4 main changes. So clarifying ID requirements, adopting new requirements that apply when a single prize is claimed by more than one person, updating prize payment methods that are available to lottery's authority to choose the appropriate payment method. And then we had several housekeeping changes as well. So we have completed the rulemaking process for these as well, which is also documented in your meeting materials. But for the record, we gave several weeks for people to comment in writing, held a public hearing. We did not receive any comments for you to consider today, but we did make one change to the rules from what you saw in October. And so Commissioner Weller had asked about the tenants in common language and whether that was the language we wanted to use. And we did review that internally and decided to take out that outdated language and just say what we mean by joint ownership, which is that each person has an equal and independent share in the ticket. And so that change is made in 2 places, highlighted for your reference. Otherwise, there are no changes from what you saw in October. And thank you to Commissioner Weller for the question and the close reading of the rules. We really appreciate that. Director Wells has also read the rules and does recommend the commission adopt them as they're presented to you today. And these would take effect on March 1st. And just a reminder, we'd ask for a later effective date just so we could do some outreach to players so they're not surprised by any of the changes, especially the ID requirement for the mailed in prizes. We wanted to give them a heads up on that. So happy to answer questions or talk about those, but otherwise you'll have a motion in your materials when you're ready.
Questions or comments from the commission? Ms. Carl, you said that you're going to do some follow-up. That's why you're asking for a delay on the rule so that you can reach out to players. I'm confused. I assume we also reached out when we put the rule out there.
Yeah.
So what's the difference in you just want to now go back to the same group and say, just be aware we did adopt this? Great.
Yeah, so I think our issue was when we originally reach out, we ask for comment. We say we've
Mhm.
proposed this to the commission, but it's not in effect, right? So it's kind of awkward so now we want, assuming you approve the rules, now we'd like
Right.
to say, this is coming and please be prepared and this is what's required. If you need an exception, here's the way to do that.
Great.
But it's hard to say that when the rules are still draft, and so.
Yep. I get it. Thank you. So is there a motion to adopt the proposed rulemaking?
I move that the rules relating to prize claims and payments in divisions 46, 75, 85, 98, and 200 be amended as presented in the meeting materials today, effective March 1st, 2025.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Will the clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Weller,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilcox,
Aye.
Chair Sapa.
Aye. For the record, the motion has passed. Thank you, Ms. Scarrow.
Thank you.
And I think with that, we're back to Director Wells and our alternative disclosure request.
Yes, we are. In your meeting materials, you have a memo regarding alternative disclosure request for 7-Eleven Inc. The memo provides additional specifics. However, as a quick reminder, the alternative disclosure process was adopted in 2015 to reduce the personal disclosure requirements for qualifying companies. To qualify for alternative disclosure, the applicant must be a public company or multi-state chain retailer with at least 30 retail locations, 10 million in gross sales, and over 300 employees, or an entity that's owned by a federally recognized tribe. To date, the Commission has approved the use of alternative disclosure process for 13 separate entities who met this criteria. Staff and I have reviewed the specifics of 7-Eleven Inc. and find that it does in fact meet administrative rule requirements for alternative disclosure. With that, I would recommend that we use this process, the alternative disclosure process for 7-Eleven Inc., and I'm seeking your approval to do so.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the commission?
Just one clarifying question. So us approving this, does that imply that 7-Eleven hasn't been doing business with the Oregon Lottery, or is this just cleaning up paperwork?
It's actually cleaning up. So yes, when we started with 7-Eleven, this process was not in place. And so they are required to do personal disclosures when we do updates or when we go through and they add locations, et cetera. So this is going back, applying the alternative disclosure process to 7-Eleven so that it reduces those personal disclosures moving forward.
And I just wanted to say that I appreciate that every time you bring one of these, you bring a self-contained document that identifies what we've done, the standard, and how this meets. It's always very helpful as a reminder, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the alternative disclosure process request?
I move that the Oregon State Lottery Commission approve the alternative disclosure process, waiving the personal disclosure requirements for 7-Eleven Inc. as presented today.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And will the clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Weller,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilcox,
Aye.
Chair Sapa.
Aye. For the record, the motion has passed. Thank you. Any other commissioner or commissioner communications or other business that we should raise at this time? Okay. With that, this concludes today's meeting of the Oregon State Lottery Commission. The next meeting is scheduled on Friday, January 31st. I want to thank you all for attending today's meeting. And if I don't speak to any of you before the next meeting, I want to wish you all a happy holiday and add my thanks to the directors that the commission, I couldn't ask for a better commission. You're all attentive. You read all the materials closely. You ask really relevant and pertinent questions that gives the rest of us also some further education, enlightenment. And I very much have appreciated working with all of you this year. So with that, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, guys. Happy holidays.
Thanks. Happy holidays.
To one and all.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.